The rain fell in Los Angeles like an afterthought, not the wild thunder of the Midwest I remembered from childhood, but a muttered drizzle, barely committed to its own dampness. Yet it somehow made the streets shine, painted each crosswalk with glimmering gray, and plastered my blue dress shirt to my skin. I stood outside the gallery on La Brea Avenue, clutching my pastry boxes tighter against my chest. The rain carried the neon light from the sign above, the gallery's name scrawled in self-conscious cursive, across the pavement and over the toes of my shoes. Half an hour earlier, I stood in the vestibule, holding my breath as if exhaling would ruin my chances. All these months I had told friends and my skeptical family that this gallery night, with my pastries presented among the art, was the first step. My fingers traced the cardboard edge of the boxes, feeling their faint, improbable warmth. I remembered baking all morning, hands shaking, careful not to let my nervousness overmix the pot au choux. Inside, the room hummed with voices tangled in self-congratulation. Faces blurred past, half-lit and vaguely familiar. Someone moved to intercept me. Casey, the gallery's assistant curator. Her eyes flicked to the boxes, and her perfect lips curled, polite but anxious. "I know you were hoping to showcase tonight," she said, voice a hush made sharp by embarrassment. The rain smacked the glass door in soft applause, but the owner decided it'd be best if we kept the focus on the painters. And the catering, we just went with a vendor. She glanced at the sleek buffet table, where store-bought macarons and blinding pink cupcakes sat orderly and dull. I nodded like I'd expected it, which was half true. My face felt stiff, locked into something resembling dignity. "Of course," I said, voice flat. "Thanks for letting me know." She patted my shoulder and retreated, heels clacking, leaving me outside in the scented wetness and ghostly glare of late-night traffic. I stood on the pavement, boxes still in hand, watching rain trace the seams of the yellow curb. Passers-by avoided eye contact. I pulled my phone from my pocket and called my mother, just so I wouldn't cry. She picked up on the second ring. "Sam." Her Philadelphia accent lingered, crisp after decades away. "How's the big night?" "Didn't work out," I said, shoving my breath into neutral. "Guess they wanted something more traditional." A pause, filled only by static and the mutter of distant TV. "You gave it a shot, kid. But listen, I keep telling you, it's not too late to come back and manage the store. People always need furniture. Scones and eclairs? Maybe just bake for friends." I watched rain coil down the glass, felt the cold crawling in. "No, I'm staying." She made a noise, the sound of skepticism stretching over concern. "Just don't let it beat you up, all right?" We hung up. Silence folded itself around me, thick as the steam caught under my collar. My resolve felt like the one patch of bone that didn't shatter on impact. That night, I left the pastries on the steps of the downtown women's shelter. Watching a young woman, hair tangled and eyes gentle with exhaustion, take a drawling bite, I thought, let them taste what was turned away. The walk home was slow. I let each puddle sing against my shoes. The weeks after the gallery night spiraled with the hushed chaos of new defeat. My studio apartment overlooked an alley where trash cans clanged like bad music every morning. Inside, I practiced alone baking through recipes from dog-eared books I collected like talismans. Pâte sucrée, glossy curd, strawberry glaze. My friend Lucia sometimes came over. "You should just sell to a coffee shop already," she'd say, peering into my oven. "These tartlets could get you famous." I'd smile but couldn't help the weight behind my teeth. Back home in Philly, my cousins sent me pictures of their toddlers and new minivans. My sister shared news of her promotion at the law office. Everyone's voices over every holiday call hummed with the same impossible question. "So, Have you given up on that whole cake thing yet? My Uncle Carl was the worst. Thanksgiving Zooms began with his boisterous laugh. Any gold medals in cupcake making yet, champ? Underneath, the suspicion. Wasn't I just hiding from real life? I started working nights at a bakery in Koreatown, slogging dough and burning my knuckles for minimum wage. The kitchen was a fever of language, English, Korean, Spanish, and the ovens breathed dry heat against my skin. Most mornings I'd drag myself home and collapse, just as the sun began to comb through dirty blinds. My own ambitions narrowed to a fist. One day, just one day, someone would taste my baking and remember it. I told myself that over and over, kneading it into the taut muscle of my chest. Even Lucia started hesitating. Maybe you could teach cooking classes online. I know you want more, Sam, but... She looked so sorry, like she couldn't stand to shred my hope, but had to, for my own protection. When I wasn't at the bakery, I took pastries to nearby cafes. The process grew familiar. Marching in with samples, heart-hammering, mumbling a desperate pitch. Always the shake of the head or the careful smile. Too expensive, not enough demand, we already have a baker. Some nights, each morning, I woke up and tried again. I got my break by accident. 2 years after the gallery night, Lucia's friend, an editor at a small food magazine, came for dinner, and Lucia begged me to make dessert. I can't pay you, she teased over the phone, but I can guarantee someone will write about it. Her friend Josh talked through most of dinner, but when the tarte tatin came out, he stopped. I watched him chew, then looked down, frowning as if trying to solve a puzzle in sugar and butter. "Did you caramelize the apples with orange blossom?" he asked. I nodded, caught. "And a little cardamom." He set his fork down. "This tastes like my Nana's kitchen, except hers never looked this beautiful. Why don't you have a place?" Lucia cut in, voice taut as a pulled wire. "It's complicated for Sam, but he's trying." "I want to write about you," Josh said, abrupt. "Not a full profile, just the dessert. Maybe a sidebar. Name your brand." I shrugged. "Rose and Stone." He grinned. "Nice. Okay, this is going in the next issue." Maybe I should have stopped believing. But I didn't. A month later, the magazine came out. The photo was blurry, but the words were bright and full of joy. Suddenly, emails arrived from people asking about custom cakes and pastries. A catering company met with me at a cramped cafe and offered a contract to supply desserts for weekend parties. 3 local baristas wanted morning deliveries. I baked through nights, rented commercial kitchen time I paid for in sad little installments, survived on burnt scraps and black coffee. But for the first time in years, doors started cracking open. I posted photos, tarts blushing with mango, layered cakes studded with taro and sesame, and people began to follow me online. The bakery job ended, and Rose Stone started living on its own legs. Sometimes in the evenings, I'd watch the sun set over my flour-dusted counters. Lucia would call and tease. Might as well hang that "I told you so" sign. But what I felt most was a soft, growing quiet. No triumph, just the hush of real work begun. It took 5 years to save enough to lease a storefront. The old flower shop on Sunset had windows with sills broad enough to sit on. The landlord warned me, "This block is all foot traffic. You gotta compete with the juice bars." I thanked her anyway, signed the lease with shaking hands. When I called my mother to tell her, she sounded dizzy with surprise. "You really did it," she said, as if she didn't quite believe it. In the months that followed, my old Philadelphia world trickled in through Facebook and phone calls. Cousins texted me, half joking, half proud. My uncle still made cracks. "Guess those cupcakes finally paid off, huh?" But they were less cutting, as if he expected something more from me now. I painted the walls, built the wooden display shelves by hand, and worked the ovens myself. On opening day,